Hello, Burlington Education Association members. My name is Bob Church, and on behalf of the BEA negotiation team, which also includes Lita Dvorak, Terry Lessard, Dan Hagan, and Scott Hubbard, I would like to take 10 minutes and give you an update to where we are with contract negotiations. As you know, the BEA negotiation team took the pulse of members through building level surveys in an attempt to better understand the issues impacting your ability to educate and support the children we serve. In addition to a member survey, the negotiation team had discussions with BEA building level representatives and the BEA Executive Committee. After careful consideration of the thoughtful responses we received from members, and realizing this would be a one-year contract, the negotiation team developed a list of proposals for the school board's consideration. Obviously, the school board has gathered feedback from administrators and the community in the development of their proposals. As one can imagine, with some issues, we will have a difference of opinion. Both the board and BEA negotiation teams have committed to work collaboratively in addressing our differences. As one can see in reviewing the meeting agendas and minutes, the school board and the BSD leadership have been working tirelessly to better understand the challenges we face and develop improvement strategies that are financially sustainable for taxpayers. Obviously, we didn't get in this situation overnight. Subsequently, it will take time and effort by all concerned to get our schoolhouse in order. To get started, let's visit the BSD website. As you may know, a full copy of the teacher's contract is available on the HR department's page. I'd like to bring your attention to the resources available under the Budget tab. I would like to briefly review the Teacher Contract Provisions PowerPoint, which was recently presented to the board by the district's leadership. As you see, we have our teacher salaries. Salary distribution, essentially where people are of the 400 teachers on the salary grid. How your salary is determined. This slide shows the salary and benefit cost for someone on a BA Step 1. Mid-range with 2 people on health insurance. Top salary with a family health plan. This slide represents where we stand regarding salary with our peers in the region. We are currently 6th out of 9 districts. Other forms of compensation. Work year. Leaves of absence. And the approximate cost of this contract. It is important to understand all the economic factors associated with your total compensation. I would like to call your attention to the leave day substitute line item. It is extremely important to note the $436,000 is the total for substitutes required for personal days, school business day, professional development, sick days, and family sick days. As we all know, personal leave is not to be utilized for vacation, and as noted earlier, the contract provides 4 personal days. If we delve deeper into the $436,000, we find $70,000 was for teacher personal days. With a sub-pay of $120.70 per day, this equates to 1.75 personal days per FTE teacher. I encourage folks to return to the BSD website and review both the full contract located on the HR department's page, this PowerPoint presentation, and other budget-related materials. It is also important to note, with the exception of salaries as noted in the PowerPoint, our contract provisions are consistent and comparable to others in the county. I would also like to call your attention to an important item in the contract not mentioned in the teacher contract presentation. This is Section 18.2, Part C, on page 38, which describes the living contract. Please take a minute to read this section. When we signed this contract in November 2013, teacher salaries were 5th out of 9 in the region. As noted, it was understood necessary adjustments would be made if required. As noted in the teacher contract presentation, teacher salaries have dropped in relation to others in the region. In order to get an understanding of the overall budget process, let's turn to BSD's Director of Finance.
Welcome everyone to the Burlington School District's Community Budget Consultation. I'm Nathan Lavery, Director of Finance, and I'm going to share some basic budget information with you. Developing a budget presents a difficult challenge to every district. We need to pursue our educational goals, utilizing the resources our community can afford to provide. That's why we want your input. Let's take a quick look at the financial environment we're facing as we prepare to develop next year's budget. Where does the money come from to support our school system? In broad terms, there are 3 sources: local revenues, federal grants, and state funding. All of these sources play important roles in providing funding to support our schools. Before we talk about what local sources are, let's talk about what they are not. When we talk about local sources, we are not talking about your education property taxes, if you pay them, nor are we talking about your income taxes, if you pay your education taxes based on your income. We'll get to these in a moment. So what are we talking about? We're talking about things like competitive grants from private foundations, impact fees from the City of Burlington, and income we earn renting our facilities for use by the city or other groups. These sources are declining as private foundations reduce their grant activity. Additionally, a change in Agency of Education rules last year means we get substantially less money from the City of Burlington. Federal grants play a major role in funding certain components of our educational activity. A multitude of funding sources are designed to support students that face a variety of challenges. In general, the federal government has been reducing support for education through these channels. For example, our Title I, Title II, and Title III grants from the federal government were reduced by about $200,000 this year, and we expect them to be reduced again next year. And now for the largest source of education funding, the State Education Fund. The State Education Fund is made up of education taxes you pay, either based on your property or your income, plus a lot of other sources. The amount of money we need from the State Education Fund is the basis for your tax rate. So the more money we need from the fund, the higher your tax rate will be. But there's a new twist coming. Act 46, a new law, sets a threshold on the amount of money we can receive from the Education Fund. If we spend more than the threshold amount, we'll be taxed twice on each additional dollar of spending. This penalty is designed to get communities to limit the amount of growth in their school budgets. As you can see, there's pressure on all of our funding sources. We will need to think creatively and make difficult decisions to continue to deliver a great educational experience to our children. So we're inviting you to participate in the process. In addition to your participation tonight, there are a number of other opportunities for public comment. Plus, our website, www.bsdvt.org, features a survey where you can share your thoughts. Tonight, we're asking you to help us address 4 important questions. Can you suggest 3 ideas for generating new school district revenue? Can you think of 3 partnerships that might help us save money by collaborating with other entities in and around Burlington? What are 3 activities that we should stop doing that might reduce costs or workload? Can you suggest 3 activities that we should continue to support even as resources are reduced? These are difficult questions. That's why we're asking for your help. Thank you for volunteering your time in support of the Burlington schools.
First, I encourage members of the BEA to be engaged in the discussions and help to generate answers to these difficult questions. To recap, we receive revenue from local, state, and federal sources. Let's put teacher salary and contract costs that was mentioned earlier in perspective. To do this, we need to visit Vermont's Agency of Education website. As you can see, there's an abundance of information here. Let's look at the summary of the Annual Statistical Report of Schools. As you can see, the latest information that's available is for FY 2014. Essentially, this lists out the revenues of local, state, and federal sources. So if we scroll down, we will see that for FY14, unduplicated revenues from local, state, and federal sources for the Burlington School District was just a bit over $78 million. It's very important to note that a significant portion of this revenue comes with strings attached. Subsequently, the district has restrictions on how certain funds can be spent. This being said, let's take a look at revenue and how it compares to other districts in our region. As noted, based on state data, Burlington received in excess of $78 million from local, state, and federal sources in FY14. As you can see, over the last few years, revenues have been growing at what many would consider an unsustainable rate of growth. This next slide represents our district as it compares to others in the county. Note the number of students, number on an IEP 504, number of ELL. Note unduplicated revenues from local, state, and federal sources. As noted, the most recent state data available is for FY14. Subsequently, we have requested specific data for FY15, FY16, and projected revenue for FY17. Once we have these revenue figures, the negotiation team will update this presentation. So let me attempt to put all this together. In reviewing the revenue data, it is clear taxpayers have been generous in their support for our schools. As noted in the previous PowerPoint presentation, Burlington teachers are currently 6th out of 9 in the county. When we overlay revenue with teacher salary data, we begin to generate one of those difficult questions mentioned earlier. How can we be number 1 in revenues and have teacher salaries 6 out of 9? Again, I encourage teachers to get involved in the process and help develop the answers to these difficult questions. Finding solutions and implementing improvement plans will indeed take the whole village. For those of you wondering about the planning and classroom preparation issues that you raised during the survey process, we have established a subcommittee with representatives from the BSD administration and teachers to review concerns and develop an improvement strategy. I hope to have more on this in our next update. If you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns regarding the negotiation process, please contact your BEA building representative. On behalf of the BEA negotiation team, I would like to thank members for all the comments, feedback, and support we've received. Look for another negotiations update in mid-January. This is Bob Church, your BEA Chief Negotiator.